Commiserations on the defeat today. I'm going to go to Patrick first of all. There's a lot of City fans in our chat today making excuses, saying Forest were bad. What did you make of your team performance today, Patrick?
People are in denial. That's the thing, and it's okay. If you want to cry, you can cry. You should have cried at the beginning of the season. People are in denial. They don't want to accept that their favorite football players are going towards the end. They don't want to accept that the manager has had a stinker this season. This is on Pep. This whole season, let me be honest with you, is on Pep Guardiola. I said it before, and this is not the first time I've said. First of all, he came to the media, said he refused the summer transfer window rebuild. So it's on him. There's a lot of people who will be screaming, oh, yeah, plastic, oh, yeah, this and this. It's because you don't know football. That's the thing. All you do is kiss ass. You kiss football players' asses. You kiss the manager's ass. You don't want to talk actual football. So I'm going to educate you today to the people who are crying right now. What's happening here is the balance of the manager and the team. Pep Guardiola is always in control of everything. When you talk to Bayern players, they say Pep Guardiola is in control of every single thing. At Barcelona, the same thing. What hurt him at Barcelona was the fact that he couldn't control Messi, and that was obvious. Here, his control hasn't been great this season. You know yourself, he's had the personal issues. The loss of control in the dressing room, the loss of control with the players. Everything is just shambles right now. And the thing that's pissing me off, and if you're a City fan and you sit there and say, oh, this is a lie, is the fact that he's been playing Bernardo Silva regardless when Bernardo Silva is stinking up the place. Pep Guardiola has been playing players that are not playing very well. If it was me, why the hell is Foden and Bernardo Silva playing? They have been one of the most horrible players this season. Why don't you play the new guys? Every time there's one of the games we played the new guys, things were so different. Against Spurs, we played the new players. It was all different. Guess who was stinking in there? Again, it's always the same guys. When Bernardo Silva comes on, when Foden comes on, when Foden plays, they're stinking. I'm not trying to say these players are finished. I'm not trying to say that these players are bad. It's they have.
Okay, it's clear Bernardo is finished.
No, Bernardo is not finished.
He's finished.
But what I'm trying to say, Terry, is how come I knew when the lineup came out that when Foden and Silva are on the pitch, there's not gonna be any creativity? How come I knew that? How come every time when he puts Gundogan on the pitch, I knew that we're gonna get our run in midfield? How come I know that? How come? When Rico Lewis is put at right back against Vinicius, I was like, oh, this is going to be bad. It's quite simple. But the thing is, the answers are there. Sometimes the answers, he puts them on the pitch and then he takes them out. Like today, I know that Nico Gonzalez has got a yellow. But I have seen Rodri with a yellow and you've kept him before. Keep the defensive midfielder. As soon as Nico left that midfield, do you know what I said? I said we're going to get run. And what did the Forest do? They started running through that City midfield and they started having more opportunities. And then another thing I can talk about is some players need rest in this team. And unfortunately, they can't rest because other players are injured. I think Josko is also going towards the part where we're going to see him either get injured or just get too tired. And it's just going to be bad. But let me be honest with you. If people are being honest, I'm not trying to say Pep Guardiola is finished or it's the end. He's had a stinker of a season. And this stinker comes from him because he's the one who refused in the summer. But big up to Forest because I knew what they were going to do. They were just going to sit back, wait for City. That's what a lot of teams have done. Wait for City. Watch us just pass the ball to our wingers. Our wingers, as you said, are toothless. They're very inconsistent. Sometimes Doku will cook people and then he'll do good. Then another game, he'll not do good. Savinho, sometimes he'll cook you. Then another game, he's just non-existent. And teams have just decided to say, you know what? Give it to the wingers. If they're having a bad day, majority of the time they're having a bad day, there's nothing they're going to do. And then they will just hit us with a sucker punch. That's what most teams have been doing this season. But if City fans are being real, we haven't been great this season. But the manager has been responsible for majority of the issues this season. And let's be honest and let's keep it a buck. He's been responsible with his selection. He's also been responsible sometimes where players are injured. Why don't you play some of the youth players? No, he doesn't want to do it. Then players get injured and he tells us, oh, the players are too old. They got injured. No, but you've got Jacob Wright, who you sent on loan, who's a DM. You've got Nico O'Reilly, who's on the bench. You've got Marketing, who's
Echeverri.
You've got Echeverri, who's a bowler. You left him at the Etihad. So people who are busy kissing Pep Guardiola's ass, I get it. He's one of the best either the best Man City manager, but it's good sometimes to point out in a season, judge a season how it is. Pepper's had a stinker, and some players have been embarrassed in this season, including Bernardo Silva, Foden, KDB, who I told people seasons ago, I came on the football channel and told people that KDB has to go. His time is going. We have to find somebody else fresh to start taking over from KDB. People went after me, but look at what it is. He can't even do a through ball. He can't even do a through ball. The only good thing he has right now is a beard, which he never had before. The only thing that he can do is that beard he has and the pushback he's doing with the band, but he's useless these days. I'm sorry. That's all I wanted to say. And you know what, Terry? Maybe it has to come from, because every time you tell City fans that you guys, it's your team that's stinking, they don't want to accept it. So I wanted to tell them, we are stinking and we have to accept it. And you know what, right now, Terry, before you pass it over to somebody, if you look at the table, we even said it when we were talking with one of my friends. The table is so close at the point where losing this game is very important, and it's going to be damaging, because the table, everybody behind us, if they win, they're going to catch up to us, and now we're going to be in a top 7 fight. That's where we're going to be, a top 7 fight.
Listen, I appreciate a lot of what you said. I will never do revisionism on Pep Guardiola, even if he has another season like this next year. He's still one of the greatest managers of all time, and I will never change. I can't see a reason that this. I won't say I'll never change my mind. I can't see a reason as to why right now why I would change my mind, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he ain't beyond reproach, and I think City fans have been done a disservice this year by a lot of their own media, by the mainstream media, and by a lot of the content creators that they consume. I've listened to so many kind of match reactions. I've listened, and this, by the way, this doesn't apply to you or Kel that's here, where I feel like the conversations have been very sort of that you wrap your team in bubble wrap, the manager, where I actually think if some harsher conversations had taken place, maybe action would have been taken a little bit sooner. And I feel that you guys have had some terrible performances, some awful results, some consistent mistakes being made. And all you've really heard from the media is smoke blowing up your ass of everyone going, oh, Rodri. And look, I think City fans have to put a little bit more pressure on, because if your summer transfer window isn't amazing, I don't see why it's going to change dramatically next year, because the players that are underperforming this year, most of them it's because they're too old. They're not going to get any better. They're not going to get back. Bernardo Silva, KDB, Walker's going to go. And, Kovacic, Ilkay Gundogan, the manager wants to keep. These guys are never going to be what they were. It's done now. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, every time you get listen, we all have our favorite singers when we're kids, right? And when 20 years later, when you're older, X, Y, and Z releasing a new album. You always want it to be as good as Thriller. You always want it to be as good as Confessions when it came, but it never is. Things typically never get better once the peak has been met. So I think City fans have to have some really serious, honest conversations and push and hope that their clubs seriously address them. Kel.
Oh, wait. Do you know what's worse?
Sorry, wait, go on.
One thing. Do you know what's worse? This is what I told people. I even gave people a warning. I was like, do you know what's worse? What's going to pile on? Because some people are like, oh, but this, oh, Rodri, oh, but this. I was like, do you know what's going to pile on? I was like, I respect Pep, and at the end of the day, what he's done, he deserves, to have a bad season, 2 or 3 seasons, it doesn't matter. But I'm just saying, what's bad is most City fans were having this other chest steel as we were losing, making these mistakes. And I was saying these are on the managers. They're like, no, the players. What's bad for us is we went to January and we bought players. So Mamouche has come in, Kusanov has come in, or Husanov, Victor Rice has come in, and then Nico has come in. Yeah, we said we needed a GM. A GM is here. And guess what? We are still not doing great. So there's still questions that can be asked. And now it's worse because we went in January and spent the most money.
Mate, you're absolutely spot on. And this is what I mean by having honest conversations, because Pep himself has spoken about how football is changing and teams are becoming very comfortable not having the ball. But within those teams now, there's very good technicians like a Gibbs White. There's loads of speed, athleticism, acceleration, finishes insides as well. You've seen Bournemouth and Forest do it this year as cases and points. It's hard to take their players because there's more money in the game now than ever. So they're not forced to sell. This is where I think you have to look at it and also say, maybe a bit of a system change is needed, maybe a different approach. I'm not saying rewrite everything, but I don't think this is maybe as simple as just replacing your players, because you're trying to replace the greatest players in your club's history and some of the greatest players of this generation. It's hard to do because in terms of KDB, how many players in the last 15 years, midfielders, have actually been at his level? Objectively speaking, would you say 3 or 4 have been around that level? So the likelihood of actually getting someone as good when he leaves is so low. Sometimes you have to adjust your thinking a little bit. Barcelona will probably never have a midfield again, ever, as good as Busquets, Xavi, and Iniesta, because it was just the perfect storm. So I think there's multiple elements here. Kel, in terms of today's game, though, from your perspective, you never really got going. You never really looked to fret. The ball never got played into Haaland. Why was it so difficult for Man City today, in your opinion?
There was no creativity out there at all. Like, Foden showed he's just not KDB, and that's okay. He doesn't have to be KDB. I'm not going to shit on him because he's not one of the best players of all time. That's fine. But you need other pieces too. And the wingers were not good today. I mean, Doku was the only one who looked like he was trying. And even though he didn't have a lot of success, he was the only one getting balls into the box. The problem was when he got a ball into the box, no one was there. So no one else was making the runs. Like, Foden, make the run. Bernardo, make the run. Oh, wait, Bernardo doesn't run anymore. He's off it. And the problem this season, Mo's going to hate me for saying this, but the entire midfield is crap. I know even if Rodri was there, I don't think this midfield would be good, because I know he can cover up a lot, but he can't cover up the fact that we just don't have a functioning 8 at all. Like, there's nobody who's been in that 8 position who has done anything positive this season. And as old as KDB is, he provided more in 20 minutes today than Foden did the whole time he was out there. So the shell of KDB is doing better than Foden is. Foden's just having a stinker of a season. I don't know what's going on there. I'm not making excuses for that guy because there's nothing to say. He's just having a poor season and he needs to do better. And it's ironic that we're ripping on Gundogan all the time. I think out of all of the older guys, he's probably had some of the better moments from the older guys this whole season. He's the one he looked great next to Nico.
Yeah, I hear you. And he's the one who's being asked to go and play DM, which is not his role anyway. If you were to go and stick, I completely and utterly hear where you're coming from when you say that. I do. And as you say, the lack of creativity today was poor.